Hey everybody, I am Sara Mitchell, and this is the Beyond the Table podcast where we talk about real life, real connection, and how to prepare our families for the real issues that we all face beyond the table. This is episode 4, and today I'm joined by Renell Good and our 2 teenage daughters to talk about how to connect with your teen daughter. It's going to be so much fun. Let's go. Well, welcome everybody to this Beyond the Table podcast. I've got some special guests with me here today. I have Renell Good and her daughter and my daughter too. We're so excited. We're going to have so much fun this episode. But I wanted the girls to get to tell you a little bit about themselves before we get started.
So like my mom said, my name is Brooks. I am 14 years old and I'm in 8th grade and I love to read. I read tons of books, tons.
My name is Kara Good. I am in 7th grade. I'm 13 years old, and I love to collect blue and white dishes, which is kind of weird, but I really like collecting them and like displaying them on shelves. So yeah.
Those are super fun facts to know about you guys. So this episode, we're talking all about connection, which is kind of like a hint back at our first episode where we talked about connection, but tonight we're talking about connecting with your teen daughters. And this will be the first of a whole series of connecting with your kids of different ages and stages and gender. And so we're just super excited to do this. I think the reason why we're doing so much about connection in these first episodes is that it is one of the things that came up as a family core value for us. When we did the core values assessment, we talked about that in episode 2. And so we have really just, we've developed a lot of different rhythms in our lives that focus on staying connected as a family and being, just really connected, because we think that that's the foundation of family, is being connected. So we've got all kinds of rhythms that are set up for that. And we talked about rhythms in the last episode, episode 3. So if you want to go back and listen to any of those, they will be awesome. There's so much good information in there. But let's get started talking about connecting with your teen daughter. So why is that even important?
Do you guys have any thoughts that you want to share off the bat? Why is it important to be connected? So one of the things that I think is, when we have the family unit and we're all going different directions, when we are not coming back and intentionally going after each other's hearts, it's really, really, it becomes very quickly this fragmented family unit. And in that is when issues come up and when there's discord in the family. And so, we've talked about this already in episode 1, I think, but connection is where you bring things back together. And so I know that the family is the most important space. Your family is where your hub is. And so if you have disconnection and there's not peace there, it just doesn't feel good.
Yeah, it totally goes out into everything else. And I love the way that you described connection as not just coming together, but going after each other's hearts. Mm-hmm. I think a really important piece of that idea of connection is that we're looking for ways to serve one another, to meet each other's needs, because it is easy when we get fragmented to just go about our own ways and do our own things and get really self-absorbed. So it's just one way to keep that priority of others in our lives. And as far as connecting specifically with our teen girls, I know that it's crazy. She only has 4 years left, and it's gone by so fast. And so then she's an adult. And so it's been always important to us to prioritize that connection piece at home the whole time that our kids have been growing up, so that they're still connected even after they leave. Yeah. What were you going to say, Kara?
I think that connection is important because, if you have bad friends, or if you just had a rough day at school, or if you've gone off to college and, school is, really hard, and you, always have family to, come back to and talk to about, your problems and stuff. I just feel like it's really important to have connection, because otherwise you'll feel really like alone.
Yeah, and if your home isn't a place of connection, you really don't have that safe space. That's good, Kara.
Yeah, that's so wise, because I think our you may not know this yet, but friend groups change with different seasons. I mean, some people stay friends with the same friends that they've had since elementary school, but mine have changed a lot. And so having family to come back to as that kind of like given is, a really, really good thing. What do you think? Why do you think it's so important?
Well, I do think that it's very important to have someone that you can trust with anything that's going on and that is always there for you whenever you need it.
Yeah, and you won't do that if you don't feel connected and safe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also feel like if you like create a future like family, friends, you won't know what connection feels like, and you won't be able to create like a special relationship with somebody if you don't know what that feels like in your family.
Oh, that's so good, Kara. Like, yeah, because we set the bar in our families for what our kids will pursue and think of as good connection in the future. That's super wise. I love that. So what, for you, Renell, like if you think about, because you've got 2 teenage daughters, how is connecting with them different now than all of the connection that you've done up to this point when they were toddlers and elementary schoolers and
Yeah. So as I was thinking about this question, one of the things that really came to mind was, as you were younger, it has been a pursuit towards you. And now that you guys are teenagers and have some of the maturity to understand really how to connect, it feels reciprocal. It feels like there's connection coming back. And so the hard years are behind us. I won't say that. I know that teenage years have their own challenges, but one of the things that I've seen is it's less a give and also it gets to be a take. So for example, one of the things that really feels great is, for years and years, you get in the car after school, I pick you up and I say, how was your day? And then the days that you're like, hey mom, how was your day? It's like, oh, she's giving back. She's interested. She's reciprocating that connection because you have the awareness to do so.
Yeah, that's really, really good. I would agree with that where, and it's funny because a lot of the things that we've always done to connect, even when you were really little, are still the same things that we're doing now. But like Renell said, there is this give and take. And I know that other people don't like having teenagers, but this has been one of my favorite seasons, I think, because it's actually a back and forth relationship. And man, watching you grow up and be responsible and take ownership of yourself and go out and try out really hard things and get out of your comfort zone. It's just so rewarding and fun for me.
Yeah. I believe that the opportunity that we have as teenagers or as parents of teenagers in connection with you is now we become more of a coach, and we say, we've taught you the fundamentals early on, and now we get to walk alongside you and say, hey, remember to be curious about people. Remember to ask good questions. Remember to pursue people's hearts. And in that, it's such a joy to watch you do that, to watch you connect with others.
Yeah. So what for you guys, girls, what is important to you about connecting with your parents, mom or dad?
I think that, like I said, you've got someone that's there for you always and that is there for you through everything, and that even if you have something really exciting happening, that they're there for you, but if you have something really hard going on, that they're also there for you in that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that having a connection with your parents doesn't just mean talking to each other always. It also means knowing each other's love languages and enneagrams and how to treat them how to treat them. Oh, I don't know what the word for that.
Intentionally to know what speaks connection to them.
Yeah, for example, my sister's love language is words of affirmation, so she wouldn't want a shoulder massage. She would want a compliment, and it's the exact opposite for my dad. And yeah, I feel like it's important to like know that and like connect with them so that like you like I don't know how to like speak to them without words.
Yeah, you reach them where they're at instead of expecting that everybody connects in the same way.
That's really good. So what are some of your favorite ways then to connect with your parents?
I mean, I love books. So one of me and my mom's favorite things to do together is on the drive from home to church and church to home multiple days a week. We listen to an audiobook together. We are in the middle of Pride and Prejudice right now, and before that we were listening to The Book Thief, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, we've been having so much fun listening to Pride and Prejudice, like of all the like classics. Like we have been giggling, and it's been opening up lots of opportunities to talk about dating and marriage and all of these conversations that would have been hard to just breach on their own, but listening to a story together helps us to like have some of those conversations and even to talk about character traits in people that or characters that we think are really worth emulating, and ones that maybe we don't like so much.
I think with my dad, I like connecting by watching TV. We like have these classic movies that we like to watch. Like just last night we watched Star Wars, which we haven't watched for a really long time, but it was really fun to just like sit and watch like TV with him. And then with I like going like thrifting or antiquing, and like we know what each other like and stuff.
So I have a quick question, really quick. How like vintage Star Wars were you watching?
The third one. I like it the most because it's like sets the whole series off,
Like
in my
the Return
opinion.
of the Jedi, the third one, or like
No,
the-
what is it? What is it called? The Revenge of the Sith or something like that. It's the one where
It's one where Anakin
Anakin-
becomes Darth Vader.
Yeah.
Okay.
Spoiler
Okay.
alert if you've never seen it.
I just didn't know if we were talking vintage like our
No.
parents
No.
or vintage like us.
No, but it was funny because you said these transitions are so 1990s, and Tyler goes, they're holding on to the old, like they're trying to bring that style in. It's
Yes.
actually not that old, but
That's been the funniest thing for us as parents, as you guys have gotten older, is being like, wow, you just said way back in the, and I'm like, that's not that old.
that's so early 2000s. You said that before.
Sorry, I interrupted what you were going to say, Renell. I just knew that would be fun.
Well, Kara had said at the beginning that she loves blue and white dishes. It actually came out of a TV show that we were watching, a home renovation TV show. And there was a lady that was having her home done. It was the homeowner. And she said, I want these cabinets built because my grandma's blue and whites, I want to be able to display them. And that's where you first saw them. And Kara's like, oh, they're so pretty. I love them so much. And so what we have done in the spirit of connection and our love of thrifting is we are always on the hunt for blue and white dishes, so that when Kara goes off to live on her own someday, she has a full set of dishes that we've collected together over the years, and they're mismatched, and they're not a set, but they're ones that we've curated based on the blue and white theme and that she loves.
That is so fun. Yeah. What about, how do you like to connect with your dad?
Well, one of my favorite seasons of connecting with my dad is hunting season, because he's the one who takes me out hunting and encourages me, like, you're going to get the deer and I'm going to, what was the word I used earlier? Lead you and guide you to find the animal that's just right for you. And then his encouragement with me, because like last hunting season, we were riding and he was like, okay, you drive. And I was like, wait a minute, me? And so, like, it's just been this amazing transition of, like, being scared to drive to him being like, no, you can do it, and, like, leading me into that.
He's going to really love hearing that. I love it. What else? You've mentioned something else earlier when we were kind of talking through this that was more silly.
So, almost every night, me and my dad and my brother all sit on the couch, and my dad pulls up Instagram, and his normal feed is what we call funny videos or fail videos. And so we just sit there I think last night we said, we're going to do 15 minutes of this. And like an hour later, Mom's like, it's been an hour. Are we going to do the thing we said we were going to do after 15 minutes? So we just do that for a very long time. We could do that all night probably.
Yeah, I got a picture of it. It's pretty cute. That's just kind of their thing. And they giggle and laugh. And we were just talking earlier today about the importance of humor. And so I love that you guys connect with your dad that way over silly things.
Anything else that you think we do as a whole family, or that you guys do as a whole family that brings connection, not necessarily just mom or dad? Or
I mean, we try to be intentional about every Tuesday night because, I mean, we have things a good amount of nights of the week, but we've tried to designate Tuesday night is family night. Like, I have a block on my phone so that people can't text me during that time, and like we either watch a movie together or play a game or play with the dogs or anything fun like that.
And so I know that your mom has instigated the planning of that, mom and dad, but mom led the way. But how have you seen the fruit of that come in your family?
I mean, it's really fun because like we don't always get to make it every Tuesday night for this or for family night. So if we can't make it, we're like, okay, it's happening another night of the week. Like that night is blocked. Nothing else can happen that night. Like, I think when we originally planned it, we said, if someone asks us out for dinner on like a Tuesday night, we're going to say, nope, that's family night. Like, we are stuck in this, and it's super fun because like we watch a movie and we, even though we're not talking about it, we're sharing a moment. And if there's a funny part, we all giggle or something like that. And playing a game, it's fun even though we're sometimes competing, we are all kind of working for the same thing.
Yeah, we have the same thing at our house because like we have so many things going on like all the other times of the day, or not day, the week. And so we usually have a designated night that we have family night. And I feel like it's really nice to have that just because like there's like different things that we all have going on, and just to like slow down and take one night out of the week to be together as a family is like really important.
I'm glad you guys think that because it's something that you definitely have to fight for to make happen. And so I love hearing that it's valuable to you guys as well.
Yeah. What about you from mom's perspective? What are your favorite ways to connect?
I think any time that you create rhythm, which I know you alluded to that at the beginning, traditions, there's just security in that. So if you know, once a week, this is what we're doing. That's something that you can find secure. But we have had tuck us in time. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure. Okay, so every night we all get on mom and dad's bed, and then it can be like depending on how tired we are or how late it is. It could be for 15 minutes, it could be for 5, but like, and our dog piles in too, and we just like talk and laugh and just like share a moment together. And then at the end of the night you give us peace, which is just a Bible verse that you say every night that is supposed to give us like peace in our dreams and our sleep. And it's really special, and I'm probably still going to call you from college to have you say it to me.
Yeah, when they have nights at Grammy, Lynn, and Papa's house or whatever, sometimes we'll call and say, can you still give me peace over the phone? And it's from Numbers, the Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and give you his peace. Can you give me peace?
I love that. Now I want to take that home and do that at my house.
But to that point, actually, taking back a little further, my mom used to do that, and not at bedtime, but she used to give us peace before going off to school. And so that's something that just happened naturally when they were babies. And I thought, it'd just be this time of, tucking them in. And I remember a parent, maybe you guys were in elementary school, and she was ahead of me about 10 years. And she said, yeah, we're at the point now where I go to bed, my kids go to bed after me. And I was like, that's going to happen. And we're at that point now, but the girls still come in and have our time. And can you give us peace? And so I'm not literally like tucking them into bed, but you still get that.
Yeah.
Get that.
Yeah, we're at the point where the kids stay up later than me, at least. And we share a prayer time together every night. And I usually pray peace and rest over the kids. I'd say that's probably been pretty consistent.
Nights that mom and dad are on a date and aren't home late, or at a friend's house and aren't home late, Deacon is like, I am not going to bed till mom gets home so she can pray for me. And I'm like, buddy, I'm going to bed. I'll see you in the morning.
Renell, you guys just you did a big connecting thing, you and Kara did. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Do you want to talk about it first? I'll talk about it. Okay, so one of the things that Tyler and I committed to when the girls were younger was that when they turned 13, we would take them on a trip. I would take them on a trip as a mother-daughter thing. And my heart in that was to show that as they were getting older, that what was important to them is important to me. And so they helped within a budget, design a trip and, just spend one-on-one time. And at the end of the trip, do you remember what we talked about on the beach? That I was just talking to her and saying, I do this because I want to show you that you're important, that I love spending time with you, that I love seeing what gets you excited, and I want to experience that with you. And I know going into the teenage years, there's going to be things that want to pull us apart. And I set this as the tone going into those years that you are important to me and what matters to you matters to me. So you can talk about what we actually did.
Okay, so we went on, it was my 13th birthday back in August. But there's hurricanes where I wanted to go, which is the Bahamas. And so we went in February because there's no hurricanes there. And it was really nice being out of the cold, and it was a lot of fun. We went on a cruise from Florida to the Bahamas back to Florida, and it was a really, really fun trip.
Yeah, so we got 5 days, 6 days together, including travel time to Florida and back. 6 days together, just one-on-one, and talked about all sorts of things. And I think what we'll mention here in a bit about what matters to you, showing what matters to you matters to me. Having that one-on-one time is where it really becomes apparent what matters to your kids.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite times with you that was a surprise to me was the drive home from youth night on Wednesday nights. So I don't like being out late. I don't like driving in the dark, especially in the winter. And so I always just kind of like, I have to go pick up Brooks from youth night. Are you sure you have to go or whatever? But it's become this really beautiful time for us. And we ride in the car a lot together one-on-one because of our situation. But you're always very like talkative and engaging, and you share a lot about what's going on and how things were with friends and what you learned. And I just really love connecting with you then.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite times of the week. And I have to say, I'm not a huge fan of the nights when Deacon comes back with us. And I'm like, you stay silent and you let me and Mom talk.
And he says, okay. Something that we've been connecting on recently has been music, because you and Deacon have taken up a liking for artists who've actually been around for a long time. And so I've been able to introduce you to some of their original music, and that has been super duper fun. And another thing that is connecting for us, it's just like working together on a project. I think that's probably a value for our whole family. But yeah, just kind of setting out to do something, whether it's build a chicken coop or go camping or whatever, just to like all work together towards something.
Yeah, I think an opportunity too, and going back to what I said about it's a time of coaching and helping you guys learn how to connect well, is to show you what matters to you matters to me, but also to teach you how to see what matters to me. So an example of this just happened today. I love to garden. I love to garden so much, and you guys don't necessarily love to garden. My girls love to harvest and maybe plant a few things initially, but the work throughout the summer is not the most exciting thing. So this year I said I'm going to plant more flowers, and I want to plant more dahlias, and I'm ordering some new varieties. And so I said, each one of you pick out something, and I'm going to grow this in honor of you in the garden, and hopefully that will spark a little bit of an interest in like, oh, how's my plant growing? So it's teaching how to reciprocate once again.
It was a very peaceful awakening.
Yeah, I did wake you up. I said, "Here's my phone. Pick out a dahlia." She's laying in bed.
Very nice. What do you girls think are the things then that disconnect you from your parents? What breaks that connection?
For me, it's moments when my little brother decides he's going to make a mess and not clean it up. And then when mom says, "Okay, guys, clean it up," and Deacon completely ignores it, and I'm the one that gets in trouble for not cleaning, that is no fun.
So you're saying getting blamed for something that's not really your problem. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a hard thing in being the oldest sister. Yeah, because like it's very easy to look at you as the one who should be responsible or whatever. And yeah, but you know what's amazing is the opportunity that you have and that you've learned that we've coached you through in that moment is how to communicate and give good feedback to us as parents of, "Hey mom, this mess really isn't mine. Can Deacon be held a little bit more responsible for it?" And when you do that in a respectful way, what's the outcome?
Like, we end up having a better connection, and then I usually don't have to end up cleaning the mess.
Yeah, but if you were like, "It's not my mess," and you stomped off, like, what would the outcome of that be?
I'd probably end up cleaning up the mess and end up having a bad connection with my mom and my brother and not be very happy.
Something that makes me lose connection is I'm really into trends, whether that's like at my school or on TikTok or anything. So like, for example, I own a Stanley Cup, and a lot of people see that as like every girl has that, and they could make fun of me for it, which doesn't usually bug me. But when like my mom or dad are talking to friends or like just other people and I'm around and they're like, "And she has a Stanley," and kind of like not in like a making fun of tone, just like in a tone that's kind of demeaning almost, but like we've had respectful conversations. Like I remember just like a couple days ago I was like, "Hey mom, can you like just not say it in that tone? It kind of hurts my feelings." And you were like, "Oh, I wasn't aware. I'll stop doing that."
Yeah, I think the root of that, and tell me if this is what you're saying, the root of that is not knowing the depth of importance that something is to you and making light of it.
Yeah, I agree. And like with my sister, it could be like that she spends so much time reading, or like with you, Brooks, like they could be like saying you should come out and do something that isn't as important to you, and then that takes time away from what you like doing, and they're not aware of that, and that breaks connection.
Yeah, good job giving good feedback about what does matter to you, because that's a super important skill to have when you're in future relationships or married or anything like that. You have to know how to give good feedback in a respectful way and be able to come to the other side of it without making the other person defensive or any of that. It's really, really good.
Yeah, because, like, you've got to have good communication with what all's happening. I know this morning my mom was like, "The cleaning lady's coming today." I was like, "Hey, Mom, do you think you could let me know when she's coming? Give me a little bit more of a heads up." And it's a little bit tricky to know that I need to get stuff cleaned up when I'm getting told the day beforehand. And then she was like, "Cool, she comes every 2 weeks."
Yeah, I agree. Like, just the other day, like, you said, like, just the morning of, like, "Hey, your sister's going to be, like, driving to school, and we have to leave early because it's, like, it could
because
be
she has
icy."
her learner's permit and
Yeah.
she needs some extra time on icy roads. Yes.
And I was like, "What?" And I was, like, very surprised. And I told you, like, "Hey, can you tell me, like, when she's going to drive in advance so I can, like, wake up earlier or be in a little bit more of, a rush so I have time?" And I really liked how you, like, slowed down to, like, help me get my stuff together, and, like, you didn't, like, rush me and stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, the reality is Jaylee's driving, but how can I help you get out the door too? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's interesting, like, how, we're just talking about connection, but all of these other things come into play, how we communicate with each other. And I really think that part of the fruit of being connected is that we can have respectful conversations with each other, which is kind of different than the way that I think probably some families feel when they talk to their teenagers. So if you're a parent right now and you're listening to this conversation and you're like, whoa, my teen and I are butting heads all the time. Like, I've not done a good job of pursuing connection intentionally. It's not a value. Like, how could they start?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I want to put this disclaimer out there. We don't get it right all the time. And there are times where there's conflict. But I think what we're seeing as you're getting older and older is the fruit of good habits, good tools, putting those things into practice. And so that's what I would say is just grab a hold of a good tool and put it into practice. It says, listen earnestly to anything your children want to tell you, no matter what. If you don't listen eagerly to the little stuff when they're little, they won't tell you the big stuff when they're big. Because to them, it has always been the big stuff. And to me, that just goes back to remembering what's important to them is important to me. And so if you're feeling a place of disconnection, I would just say get curious. Get curious about what your kids are interested in. And even if it's not something that's your interest, work towards learning, being curious. It doesn't have to become your interest. You just want to learn more about them and what's going on in their heart.
Yeah, and you can ask good questions like, hey, what about that do you love? What about that excites you? Or what do you find fun about that? Not like, why do you think that's fun? Right? Because that might be taken differently. The other thing that you can do, a super simple, easy entry-level tool is love languages, like Kara talked about earlier. So we'll put the link to be able to do that assessment in the show notes. But just knowing that Brooks's one of her top love languages is quality time allows me to know how to pursue spending special moments with her, whether that's in the car or going shopping or going on a trip or spending time reading together or watching the movie of a book that we read together.
Or just last minute running into a coffee shop and getting a drink.
Yeah. So what I love about knowing your child's love language, knowing anyone you love's love language, is that it is a guaranteed way to reconnection. So you could have a compliment for someone, but if that's not their love language, it's going to go right over their head. However, knowing that it's my oldest daughter's love language, we both know that, giving her a compliment, noticing something she did and verbalizing that, it's going to speak right to her heart. And so it's just a fast way to reestablish some sort of connection.
Yeah. And then the other part of that, the coaching part of that as our kids have gotten older, is that we make them know that they need to be responsible for speaking our love languages back. So we're meeting each other's needs in a give and take kind of relationship like we talked about earlier. I think it's really important if you're feeling disconnected to know that like your kid is not going to be the one who initiates connection. It is your job as mom or dad to lead in pursuing connection with your child. And so that means that you make the goal connection. And if you feel like your goal is a safe distance from your child, right? Because teenagers can be scary sometimes and overwhelming. If we let that fear be the thing that motivates us into action, we are going to make messes. And I do it. I'm completely guilty of being the one who goes, what you did just scared me. And I'm going to react and make a mess to it instead of pursuing connection. But I would just encourage you, parents, to take ownership of your side of the relationship. And, you know, we were talking about this earlier, and you shared an idea from the Bible that kind of shows this.
Yeah, I was thinking about Jesus and Judas, and Judas was one of Jesus' disciples and followed him around in his ministry for 3 years, and Jesus knew he was going to betray him. And up until the very last bit, he was pursuing connection with Judas. He was washing his feet. He was eating the Last Supper with him. And he was giving him the opportunity to reciprocate. And man, what a powerful story that is, that Jesus, knowing he was going to be betrayed, still loved. And I think that when we look in Philippians 2, and it says, follow the example of Jesus, who sacrificed, basically, is what it boils down to. Yeah. That's what we get to do as parents, is we get to pursue our kids. And like you said, it is our responsibility first to go after that connection.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you guys think about that? Like, what if you felt disconnected from your parent? So think of a time when you were disconnected from your mom and what that would feel like, right? And multiply that times like 5, right? Like it's really bad because you don't have the foundation of connection that you normally have. What would you want your parent to do in that situation?
Well, I would want them to see it my way, but then I'd also want to make sure that I'm seeing what they mean in what all they're saying, and that like what they're saying makes sense, and that you're like, oh yeah, I understand that, and I will take what you said into what I do in the future.
Yeah, I agree. You need to like see both perspectives of like what each other are feeling, because everybody feels different things in different situations. But also, I would just want my parent to know what I don't like and what I do like, and like making those things a priority. Not necessarily like going out of their way to like get me my favorite food or like whatever, but just like spending time with me in like a nonchalant way that like rebuilds the connection, or because my love language is quality time. Or like if you didn't have a connection with Jaylee, just like slowly giving her like little compliments, like either that, whether that means like putting a note in her backpack or just saying it like at breakfast or whatever, just like rebuilding the connection to I don't know, to rebuild the connection.
Yeah, I know, like, if there was a moment when I was disconnected with you, I think that a way that, like, if I was, like, just, like, not wanting to talk to you, but we were stuck in the car together, and we had to be together, we had to be there, I think something that would help would be, like I said earlier, like, a last minute, oh, we pulled up to a coffee shop, like, a last minute little thing that's, like, because, like, that's the thing, that's one of the things that we connect over. So being like, here's this, you don't have to talk to me, but here's the thing that you like, and I will let you decide whether or not you're going to talk to me. Yeah, I will make an effort to try and connect with you.
I think that's like really, really good, because like for example, like we don't have the same taste in music, but you could, like, if we, like Brooks was saying, if we like were mad at each other in the car, like if you just played my like favorite song or one of my favorite songs that you didn't necessarily like but knew would like maybe cheer me up, that would be like a small sacrifice that would like really like boost the mood.
You guys are so awesome. It has been so much fun having you on the podcast. We're going to have to come up with a reason to have them back again. You guys did awesome. So I just want to encourage you parents to, especially if you have teenagers, that you just, keep that pursuit of connection as a priority in your homes and in your families, and know that it may not always be reciprocated, but that you are doing the hard work right now that will pay dividends later on when they're adults. So keep making those deposits into those special little connection savings accounts, so that when you need to make a withdrawal or make a request or set a healthy boundary, that there's something there substantial to pull from. I just want to bless you guys and just hope that this podcast helps you guys to connect and live your lives to the full beyond the table.